Hey there, welcome to Live Life Happy, the book club. My name's Andrea Seydel, and I help people read, write, and publish books. And today we have an inspiring and deeply personal book for you, The Gifts of Imperfections by Brené Brown. I love this book. I know I say this every time. I really love this book too. So, what if embracing our imperfections was the key to living a wholehearted and fulfilling life? What if that inner voice is really knocking us down and that perfectionism is preventing us from doing so much? So that's exactly what Brené Brown explores in this transformative book. Through her research on vulnerability, courage, and self compassion, she helps us break free from shame, from self doubt, so that we can truly live life happy. So, if you're ready to let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you truly are, this book is for you. Dr. Brené Brown is a researcher, professor. She's a best-selling author and speaker known for her groundbreaking work on vulnerability, shame, and resilience. And she has her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, is one of the most watched in the world. And her research has transformed the way we think about courage and connection. The Gifts of Imperfection, this book is one of my most beloved books of hers, and it offers so many practical tools as well as it helps us to cultivate a more authentic and fulfilling life. So, what's inside this book? So, at the heart of the Gifts of Imperfection is the idea of wholehearted living, which means engaging in a world from a place of worthiness. So, engaging in our world from a place that we're worthy. So, Brown introduces these 10 guideposts for wholehearted living. And I love this because it's almost like these are like rules to live by, so to speak. And they're each designed to help us embrace imperfection. And I always love the expression, give yourself permission to be human. And that's really the essence of this book, embracing imperfection and live with more joy, authenticity, and love. So let's go through some of her things. So she talks about cultivating authenticity. So first of all, let go of what people think. Who Why do we put so much stake in what other people think? So cultivate authenticity of what's true for you, being authentically you. Let go of what people think. The other thing she talks about is cultivating self compassion. So being kind to yourself. Let go of perfectionism. We don't have to be perfect, nor are we perfect. So give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, and really, really don't be so hard on ourselves when we're not perfect, when we're less than perfect, when we're failing forward. And then she talks about cultivating a resilient spirit. So so she talks about letting go of numbing and powerlessness. So sometimes we numb out. And so she really does talk about cultivating a resilient spirit of bouncing back, of coping and strategies and feeling powerful in our world. She talks about cultivating gratitude and joy. So letting go of scarcity and the fear of the dark. I love that expression. And when we cultivate gratitude and joy, we see more abundance and we see more of what's good. And so she talks about cultivating intuition and trusting faith and letting go of the need for certainty because life is uncertain. So letting go of this need for certainty. She talks about cultivating creativity. And so tapping in, I love this idea of cultivating creativity and let go of comparison. Why do we compare ourselves to other people? It's like, what are they doing? How are they doing it? And so the idea is I always say use comparison as inspiration. It's like, ooh, I like how she's doing that, and use it as inspiration, but not as measuring myself, using it more as creativity. So cultivating creativity, inspiration. So she also talks about cultivating play and rest. And you know me as the author of The Power of Play. Play is so important. It's why we live. It's like life is meant to be fun and joyful. And so cultivating more play and time for rest. And I know sometimes we get so ambitious and we're always going. And so this will help hit the reset button. So, cultivating play and rest, letting go of exhaustion and our status symbol and our go, go, go mentality. And so, cultivating play and rest. I love that one. And then she talks about cultivating calm and stillness. So, letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle, right? How do you, sometimes people ask, how are you doing? They're like, oh, busy. Like the answer we always say is busy. So, by cultivating more calm and stillness and letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. I love how she talks about cultivating more meaningful work, and recognizing the meaning, the work, the impact that we're having, and letting go of how we doubt ourselves, letting go of self doubt. And you can see by letting go of self doubt, it helps us to cultivate more meaningful work. And then she talks about cultivating laughter, song, and dance, and letting go of being cool and in control. It's like, I love this, right? More laughter, more song, dance, playfulness. And all right, sometimes we feel like, oh, I should be wearing a suit jacket or I shouldn't be like acting in a way that's silly, And so, this idea of letting go of that need to be cool and in control all the time, it's like cultivating more laughter, song, and dance. Can you see how each of these guide posts provide so many actionable strategies for embracing our imperfections, right? And living a more fulfilling life, right? It's so powerful. And so, how we can apply these lessons is one of the most powerful takeaways from the gifts of imperfection is practicing self compassion and embracing vulnerability. And so, how do we do that? How do we start applying this to our life? So, she talks about daily affirmations. Remind yourself, I am enough as I am. Like put it on your wall. I am enough as I am. So, this is one way that we can really cultivate and practice self compassion and embracing our vulnerability, the gifts of imperfection. I am enough as I am. Daily affirmations, reminding ourselves this. The other thing she talks about is challenge perfectionism. So notice when you're trying to be perfect and instead aim for good enough. Aim for good enough. I have so many clients that I help them write their books, and it's like it sometimes they get trapped in that perfectionism cycle and they're like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And then it's like we never end up finishing their book. It's like, okay, like there does come a time where it's like, you know what? It is good enough and you are enough just as you are. And then it's like, and then we do, sometimes they need some nudging to move into publishing, but challenge perfectionism. So notice when you're trying to be perfect. Perfect is not a thing. Instead, aim for good enough. She also talks about this idea of practicing gratitude. So focus on what's going right rather than what's missing. This is huge. This is like a game changer. Focus on what's going right rather than what's missing. Sometimes we go into this place of lack and scarcity and we worry and and so this idea of gratitude practice it by focusing on what's going right and what's good and what our strengths are instead of focusing on what's missing, what we don't have yet. And so I love this idea. It's such a powerful gratitude practice of focusing on what's going right rather than what's missing. And so the other thing she talks about play and rest, as you know, I love this one. Give yourself permission to take a break and just enjoy life without any guilt, without any feeling like you should be doing something else. Just play and rest and have fun and give yourself permission to take those breaks. The other thing she talks about is expressing yourself creatively. And so when we engage in activities without worrying about the outcome, it's just fun. So express yourself, right? Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's, like think about activities that you can do that you don't have to worry about the outcome. You're just doing it for the fun of it. I love this idea. So many of us struggle with this self-doubt, with fear of judgment or just like the pressure to be perfect. And so Brené Brown's research really does show us that true fulfillment can come when we embrace our imperfections, when we lean into vulnerability, when we live more authentically. So So when we stop trying to be everything to everyone, we free ourselves to be happier, more connected, and more real and more courageous, even. So think about it. What if instead of hiding your imperfections, you saw them as part of your unique, beautiful self? How would that change things? So, if there's one thing you take away from the gifts of imperfection, it's this: you are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. You are worthy of love and belonging just as you are. The key to happiness is embracing your imperfections and living authentically. So, what's one small step that you can take today to embrace your imperfections? Choose one of these guideposts, maybe to start practicing it in your life. So that's it. I hope you got a lot out of it. Until next time, helping you live life happy, I'm Andrea Seydel, and I'll see you next time for another amazing book discovery discussion.